As you know, AI is the main topic today. It's all in the news, it's in politics, and people have a certain reluctance about AI and augmentation when it comes to any kind of intelligence. However, when it comes to anything, I think people can see the creative genius of a lot of these directors and screenplay writers and novelists. You have Philip K. Dick. You have certain movies, including Limitless, where you had the main character played by Bradley Cooper, who used augmentation to actually get to the end of the movie here, as you can see in this clip, in which he was able to treat everything like a chess match. He could see many steps ahead, and that gave him an unfair advantage. So many people probably are thinking, even those in Wall Street or in other things, of course, you could think, the issues with augmentation or AI is that whoever's wielding this technology perhaps may be able to use it for malicious intent. That, I think, it remains to be seen how that will be used, but I think it's great how in this interview with Sam Altman, being the head of OpenAI, and Elon Musk, with his interviews, speaking about the humanist ideas, meaning that being a human takes precedent. And
the cost dramatically falls, the abundance goes way up. I think we'll do the same thing with energy. And I think those are the two sort of key inputs to everything else we want. So if we can have abundant and cheap energy and intelligence, that will transform people's lives largely for the better. And I think it's going to, in the same way that if we could go back now 500 years and look at someone's life, we'd say, well, there's some great things, but they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Can you believe they didn't have modern medicine? That's what people are going to look back at us like, but in 50 years.
Humanism, in his pursuit of that, Elon Musk is talking about in this particular interview that he wants to use Neuralink, one of his many companies, to make an implant of one of these chips that just go into your head in different part to augment and actually at first be used for clinical reasons for people like Stephen Hawking, who was unable to move, to actually enable movement or enable sight for people that are blind or have other challenges physically or mentally or neurologically, whatever it may be. And then it will go into the augmentation. So
augmentation is to restore functionality to quadriplegics, tetraplegics, and people who have just, for whatever reason, no longer have a connection between, or a limited connection between their brain and their body. Mm-hmm. And then the second application would be restoration of eyesight. So if somebody's gone completely blind, maybe even has lost the optic nerve, you can actually still directly stimulate the neurons in the visual part of the cortex. So you can give a direct vision to the brain. Mm-hmm. In fact, you could actually, depending upon what cameras you use, you could actually see in different wavelengths.
Okay.
There are many people, including Mr. Beast, who even said that he would go ahead and do it himself. He's thinking, man, I could totally take my YouTube channel to the next level, doing my philanthropy, and having this augmentation would help me to do that.
Would love one, by the way. After the first couple thousand go through, I want one.
Yeah. You'd put one in?
Oh, 100%.
I would. Why not?
The thing is, what's interesting,
why wouldn't you?
Once you, the Neuralink actually works and you can symbiosis with technology and just download things to your brain, you'll be able to make so much money that it doesn't matter how much the procedure will cost. Anyone will be able to afford it, essentially. So I think like the first few would probably go for an absurd amount of money, right? Because like even if you had $0, you could just hypothetically borrow $100,000, get it, because once you have infinite, bandwidth to unlimited knowledge, you could make unlimited money.
It doesn't scare you at all?
No, you're like pretty much a robot at that point.
But we already are. How fucking?
But not really. You can turn your phone off like that.
Yeah, but look at your screen time. How much time a day do you
probably
spend
a
on
lot.
Yeah,
but not 24 hours.
Yeah, but 5 hours. So 5 hours a day, you're staring at it. The only difference is instead of having the input lag of your thumbs, it's just instant, which would be much more optimal.
And of course, as we know, we have. I'm sure you've heard somebody tell you, "I only have so much bandwidth, or I only have so much capacity to think so much or do so much during the day." The idea of Neuralink, kind of in the same way in the movie Limitless, you are able to expand that bandwidth so you can do more, process more, and it's almost like the Matrix where Neo was able to download information. So in a way, I understand people are reluctant. They're thinking, why do this? This is very disconcerting. I don't want to put something into my brain. I feel like it's an abomination and against my religion or ethics. It's understood. However, people are a biological computer anyway. And when you think of neurochemistry, biology, if you study any of that in college, you understand that there are chemicals, neurochemicals, electrical impulses that go through different body that actually work just like a computer. In fact, over 6,000 years ago, the I Ching, an ancient Chinese assortment of documents, shows the balance of the initial ideas that led to the foundation of coding or binary. So 0, 1, the idea of not being and being, or not being there, and then that's just how a microchip works. So this was found out 6,000 years ago before any computer was made. So AI, all of this stuff, computers, it is all a result of human ingenuity, and it is a natural occurrence. So if you could see Elon Musk, he is thinking as a humanist that we must assimilate or integrate with technology as it increases, as it advances. So we have our cell phones, right? That is considered to be a extension of ourselves in the sense of being technologically integrated. People are not able to get away from their phones, not for very long. They are very reliant on it. And the reason why that's different than it being implanted into us is that the output is a lot slower because we're using our fingers. Our fingers can only do so much on a phone. However, we can input that information through our eyes, through our processing a lot faster. So the concern, I understand, is putting something into you. You feel that maybe there would be a possibility for a hacker or someone malicious that might want to control a mass number of people. I'm sure you've seen the movies. You've seen all sorts of movies where some kind of evil guy in the movie wants to take over the world by controlling the minds of people. That was actually in that one, what do you call it? The Incredibles, that Disney film. It's actually really good. They have 2 of them. They're going to have a third one come out. The second one, they had somebody that was actually controlling people by using brainwaves, frequency manipulation through a television screen. So in some ways that is being done. It's being done by the media. It's being done indirectly through other forms of manipulation. I'm sure you notice different people that are very manipulative and do things this and that way. And no matter how you feel, this can be used politically in different ways. And it's already being used with technology. So I think it's really just a matter of people understanding that and just to see how things pan out. And of course, as with anything, as we develop things, always make sure that we have a brake installed for any acceleration that we have in technology. So if it goes too far, we need to have a fail-safe, a brake, in order to kind of go back a few steps to reassess the dangers. And that goes with any kind of regulatory types of provisions. So with Neuralink by Elon Musk, this augmentation will be implemented, but with the go-ahead from the FDA. So the FDA does not want there to be any kind of mistreatment of people during this testing. So it's really going to be used on a clinical basis. So Elon Musk said he wants to take this, go about this on the up and up, straight and narrow, and to not harm any animals But as if you see some certain videos of animal cruelty, this does happen with certain testing. So hopefully this can be done in an ethical and respectful way. So what do you think? Are you willing to get one of these augmentations of this kind? Are you you like this idea of biochemical augmentation, such as in the movie Limitless, or would you prefer the Neuralink, or do you prefer something else? So And do you also think this may be used maliciously? What are your worries about this? Be sure to comment below and like and subscribe for more content to come.
Geordie LaForge from you could have that I actually watched an episode of Star Trek Next Generation with special effects compared to what we're used to are not that great, but he's got the wraparound glasses, and he can see in different wavelengths, so you can see ultraviolet, infrared, and that kind of thing. So you can actually do that. You could say you could see in radar if you want.
And what's the long-term goal for it? Because I think myself and others, I think the first part sounds fine. Sounds good.
That's hard to argue with.
Yeah. But long-term, I think the concern that people have is this just leading us into this dystopian transhumanist future? Where does it go? What are the ethical boundaries of it?
Well, the thing I wanted to emphasize is that it's not going to sort of pounce on us overnight. Mm-hmm. You'll see it coming. It's going to be very slow. In fact, I really think that artificial general intelligence or digital superintelligence is likely to arrive before we have really advanced neural links. At least that's where the trend is right now. Mm-hmm. So, but ultimately, the idea would be to achieve a symbiosis between our biological mind and our kind of digital mind. So we're already kind of a cyborg if you think of your phone and your computers as an extension of yourself. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you leave your phone behind, it's like you have missing limb syndrome. You're like, where did it go? So the phone is a kind of an extension of ourselves, like computer is. The various applications that we use are already an extension of self. So we are already a cyborg. It's just that the interface is with our eyes and our fingers. Yeah. And that interface, especially output, the rate at which we can type words into a phone or a computer, it's very slow. Our input is much better because with the data rate from vision is, I don't know, many thousands of times, maybe 1 million times better than the rate at which we can output. So input is maybe, I don't know, roughly 1 million times better than output. And so what a Neuralink device can do is improve that bandwidth, allow you to be sort of much more symbiotic with the AI extension of yourself. Mm. So you can think of like a human brain really could be arguably divided into two parts. One is kind of like the primitive brain, the reptile brain, it's sometimes called. It's like a sort of basic instincts, and then we've got the cortex, like the higher level thinking, planning, and that kind of thing. But the two operate symbiotically. So I haven't yet met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everyone's quite happy having both.
Yeah,
they're like, I like it the way it is, But your cortex is way smarter than your limbic system. But the irony is that even though the cortex is way smarter than the limbic system, most of what it's doing is trying to make the limbic system happy. It's like limbic system's hungry. Okay, let's get some food. The limbic system is horny. Okay, let's have sex or whatever. I mean, the sheer amount of effort the cortexes of all the humans have put into trying to get laid is insane.
That's got to keep the species going.
Yeah, but not even if it's not for procreation. Like the limbic system is really like too simple to understand that like sex does not result in procreation, because for almost all of human existence that it did. Birth control is a very recent thing. So the limbic system is like trying to incent procreation, and but now we can effectively hack the limbic system by doing procreation, by having sex without procreation. So, which is, I guess, maybe part of the issue with why do we have more kids? Is like in the past it would just happen because in order to make your limbic system happy, you'd have sex. You didn't have birth control, so if you'd pop out some kids.
Yes.
So that's how it used to be. So even though you've got a cortex that's way smarter than the limbic system, the cortex is still basically just trying to make the limbic system happy. And then if you think of like the computers as a sort of a third layer, the AI is a third layer. It's not necessarily the case that the AI would be acting contrary to our interests. I think if it's closely linked with our biological intelligence, I think it could actually be just simply, again, trying to make the cortex happy, which is trying to make the limbic system happy. So I think we'll put even more computing power to try to get laid, basically. Now the AI is going to help you get laid.
I think what it is that concerns people about it, number one being new, but I think the main thing is the fact that this is something that's like inside your body, right? I think the idea of putting a chip in, the idea of someone putting a chip in my brain, I just have a visceral no, right? Like I have a very, visceral reaction.
It's an optional thing. I mean, we're not going to.
Would it be though long term?
I hope so. I think it should be optional. Yeah, it'd be bizarre if it was not. No, I think it's
kind of like how. The reason I ask is because smartphones right now are sort of optional, but if you don't have a smartphone, the way everything is sort of designed around society, you cannot have a smartphone, but it's a massive hindrance and disadvantage in many ways.
True. A smartphone is almost essential in a modern society to do things.
Yeah. So could a Neuralink end up in that same sort of place?
It's possible, but I'm just saying if it does, it's many decades from now. So it's not like, it's not today's problem.
Yeah.
I'd worry a bit more about digital superintelligence. I'd worry about let's try to avoid World War III.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're at least having enough kids to sustain our population. Basic stuff like that.
Yeah. What's your greatest concern with artificial intelligence? Because I know that you have worked with it, but also I know it's something that you personally have massive concerns about as well, which you've voiced in this podcast and elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that actually the most likely outcome for artificial intelligence is that it is good, that it will improve our lives, most likely. But there's some chance that it will not, and I think we just need to be cognizant of that and understand it's a powerful technology, it's a double-edged sword, and we need to put a lot of effort into ensuring that we have a good AI outcome and not a bad one.
What does a good one look like?
Well, I'd recommend people read the Ian Banks books, the culture books. That's the best representation of a positive AI human future that I've seen.
Okay.
So that's my recommendation. I mean, effectively AI. I think it will massively enhance human ability. It's like just a massive amplifier of human ability, just like the computer was. So really, it's just a question of like, does it? There's some risk that it doesn't merely amplify human activity, but it starts basically just being in charge.
Yeah.
And there's some risk it may view humanity negatively and decide that we're a blight on the earth. Like I think like a very dangerous thing would be if the sort of human extinctionist philosophy somehow got into AI, that would be bad. Like that guy that was on the front page of the New York Times saying, the 8 billion people on Earth.
We don't want him coding it.
We don't want him coding it. Yeah. Safe to say. And there's quite a few people in this neck of the woods who have that either explicit or implicit extinctionist view.
Yes.
Where they view humanity as a blight on the face of the earth.
Yeah, there's a lot of antinatalists in the world, and people who
frankly anti-human.
Yes. Like you said, people who don't have the pride in being human, right? There's people who
they feel like guilty or something.
People who even say that that's a speciesism. That's yeah. I mean, I'm a human supremacist. I'll be open about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to fight for Team Human. Like, if we don't fight for it as humans, who will?
Yeah, I mean, if the Earth exists and humans do not, then it's like we're saving the planet for who at that point?
Yeah.
What do you think about AI replacing jobs, though? Because that's a big concern. Even if AI doesn't sort of go rogue and start doing something directly horrible, I think a lot of people's concerns is just, hey, what about everyone's jobs?
AI will certainly be very disruptive because jobs will be different. So no, I think the change caused by AI is going to be pretty radical. So there will, a lot of jobs that currently exist won't exist in the future. But I think there will be new jobs. And I do think, like in a benign AI scenario, we will really have an age of abundance. I think really goods and services, unless they're artificially made scarce, like it's specialized artwork, or you want that particular house in that neighborhood, like it has to be an artificial scarcity. But anything that is not made artificially scarce will be plentiful as in a benign AI scenario. You'll be able to have any products and services you want.
Mm-hmm. That
anyone will.
Does that not start to cause a whole new level of problems?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's like there's some things which sound like a blessing, but may in fact be a curse.
Yeah.
Like I think you will live forever. It sounds like a blessing, and it's actually a curse. You would not want to live forever. You don't know how long forever is. And if you say another potential curse is you can have anything you want effortlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you want that?
Yeah.
Does anything matter at that point?
Yeah. And what about the value? I mean, I think a lot of the value of work isn't just getting money to buy things. It's the meaning, it's the purpose, it's knowing that you worked for this thing, right? It's different. It's different to get $10 million because someone just gave you $10 million or you won a lottery versus you created a business and sold products and services that helped you to earn that money.
Exactly. So it's like, how do we find meaning and relevance?
Yeah.
If you have an age of abundance where the computer, you just ask for anything and get it, it is something we'll have to struggle with. That'll be, I don't know. I think that's kind of most likely where we're headed, is an age of abundance. But it will definitely cause some existential angst.
What are you most optimistic about?
In fact, if I should say, like for a Neuralink device, I mean, part of what I'm hoping is here in a benign AI scenario, like how do we even go along for the ride? How do we even understand the AI?
Okay.
Like if you've got some sort of, incredible intelligence, unless we do sort of effectively have better symbiosis, increase the bandwidth to the AI extension of ourselves, effectively augment our human intelligence substantially, we may not even be able to appreciate the wonders that will exist in the future.